Forgiveness.
Forgiveness, yeah, without the apology.
Yeah, if you don't forgive completely
Yeah.
and immediately, that's the key with forgiveness. Completely and immediately. It's like a tree, a sapling. It's easy to pull out a sapling when they're growing in the garden, but if you
Let it
let that
roots.
thing stay, it starts to get harder and harder to pull out. You need two hands. You got to get a lopper. You got to dig it out. And so to the degree that I keep resentment with me for a decade, 2 decades,
Oh,
that's a problem. Then I need serious therapy.
you don't want to
Because
have it for even one day, even 10 minutes. Let
you
it
got
go.
to practice. It's a practice. You get better
It's
at it by
practice.
practicing relinquishing the resentment,
Because what
and you got to
happened?
let go of it completely. Like I
Yeah.
can't be like, well, I sort of forgive him. It's got to be
Right.
100% I forgive him, or else what happens is it starts to ferment. It starts to ferment. Just that little strand of resentment ferments, and eventually it toxifies the entire consciousness. And then you start to create turbo scenarios. And
No.
then you start to think that was the reality when it wasn't reality. Oftentimes my resentment is fabricated in my mind. You ever do that one?
Even
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from South Goa, India, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. It's episode 1538. Today is Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. How you doing, Kaustubha? You're up at Govardhan Hill still?
last day,
Last
wrapping
day at
things up.
Govardhan Hill.
Yeah, we're putting everyone in taxis today and having tearful goodbyes and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I hate to bring it to something morbid, and I know it's early in the morning, but yesterday, Kaustubha, after his experiencing spiritual bliss and the joy and the dust, the sacred dust, he said to me, but a monkey jumped on a telephone wire,
No, I talked about that during the show.
I know. I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I'm about to one up you, my friend.
All right.
Because he talked about a monkey electrocuted himself and he witnessed the monkey just electrocuting and dying. Yeah, it's not funny, but we were saying he's a blessed monkey for dying in the holy Dham. I should be so fortunate. Hare Krishna.
Okay. One up me.
But
what do you got?
Me and Mara, after walking back from our long morning japa walk this morning, I look up at this beautiful fruit tree, a kaju tree, Kaustubha, of a cashew fruit, growing cashews. And there was an electric wire. And what was hanging upside down from the electric wire? A bat the size of a small panda. Hanging upside down.
They call them flying foxes, those big bats.
It was like a flying fox, but you could tell it was like, okay, I'm going to land and rest here on this electrical wire. The entire thing was incinerated. It was holding on by 1 foot. I could have sent this into Nature is Metal because it was horrific. And it was still holding on. At least your monkey died and fell onto the sacred dust.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway,
did you say a prayer for that?
Good morning.
Did you share a prayer for the bat? No.
I didn't share a prayer. I was just like, oh my God, wait till I tell Kaustubha this. I outdid him. I should have prayed, but prayer for he could have been dead for like weeks.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Still.
You know what I did today?
Death is all over the place, Raghunath. We got that's one thing we discussed when we got back. Because even though I think largely we managed to get our heads back into the parikrama and all that, but when we got back and we talked a little bit about it, and we said that death it's everywhere. Wherever you look, it's there. But but in the West, it's more covered up. You don't see a dead monkey. Your dog dies, practically nobody sees it. But here you see it.
No, in the old days, I haven't had a dog die in recent times. But in the old days, when my dogs would die, it'd be like my mother got hit by a car. My mother would take it to the vet, and she'd just come back without the dog, say, "Oh, we put it to sleep." That's it.
Yeah.
You put it to sleep. What does that mean? It was like so confusing. Back in the old days, there was no surgery. They weren't like bringing in tiny instruments and
Right.
open heart surgery for your pets. It was just like you put them all to sleep.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So you don't see it to this day. You don't see it so much, but here in India, you get to see it a bit. You remember that you had a story about one time you were on a bus to Karoli?
Yeah.
Didn't
Tell me.
you tell me, you know,
It's in my book, Bubba. You just gotta read it. You gotta read. Actually, saw it happen twice in India. Because you're
It's in my book,
humiliating
damn it.
yourself here. It's in my book,
Read my
damn it.
book.
Yeah. Yeah. I've just, yeah. You see death on the regular basis. You see, like, well, you're in especially in a holy city. People want to die in a holy city. So they're always having kirtans, and it's like, oh, great. It's a festival. It's a parade. No, it's a funeral. And they're marching this corpse to the funeral to burn the body. And then you see the body burn. And truthfully, it's very, very sobering. You know, the body, the Bhagavad-gītā deals with, it's almost like a textbook of how to be free of anxiety, how to be free from fear, how to be free from your trauma. And it's really by analyzing the body and the mind and the intellect and seeing that and really getting to this point where we're understanding we are separate from it.
Mm.
And when you're really wise, you understand I cannot die.
Mm.
And so this whole angle of coming at the Bhagavad-gītā as this sort of like a textbook to reduce all these things in our life, it's quite amazing. But then what happens is we're just spiritual beings. We're spiritual beings. So we are getting goaded and urged on a regular basis to not just invest in our dharma of this world, but to invest of the nitya dharma, the eternal dharma of the soul. And that's what actually extinguishes the anxiety, the fear, the hopelessness that the material world eventually offers.
Okay, this is a good segue. Let's hold on. Let's check in with Mara, and then let's go back to maybe pull up the nugget, Rogan, because I like where
We've
you're
been
going.
really just burning through Mara lately, like forgetting that she's not.
It's okay. I
I
don't know.
think she looks pretty happy,
We
actually.
We got all excited.
Fine,
Mara,
yeah.
can you scoot closer? You'll look like a Vamanadev, the dwarf incarnation of Lord Vishnu.
These people are just listening anyway. We should announce there's no show this Thursday because we're all traveling. Also, have you checked out our Sage community platform?
Yes.
If Wisdom of the Sages has been helpful in your life and you'd like to contribute to our work, log on to Wisdom of the Sages and become a supporting member of our Sage community platform. Yeah, for a minimum $5 monthly contribution or a maximum donation of whatever your heart desires. You get access to a wide range of live and archived classes, including a lot from January while we were all together at GEV.
Yeah, you know what I was gonna say, Mara, is because we've been on the run. You guys have been a little bit chill for a little bit. I've been on the run since the beginning of January, really. But now I'm going to go to Rishikesh, where my life will be more regulated, and we got a store load of stuff. We have the entire course that I taught in the GEV, which I was really happy with. There's a great group. They had great questions. It was a great topic. It really clicked, that one. And then we have all of, we were recording our talks in Mayapur and everything like that too, in both groups. So we have a lot of stuff to share. So I think we'll start pumping out that course I did one class per week, and we could just start to pump out some of that Mayapur in Vrindavan stuff now too.
Oh, that's great. People have been loving your classes, Kastup.
Oh,
Yeah, everybody loves Kastuba.
Anyway, go to wisdomofthesages.com and join now to be a supporting member. If you
we've
love
been talking
Kastuba
about you
or
right now. So we've
Raghunath,
been remembering you all along. Even when
Right.
when we're on the way, we were on the highway on the way to Vrindavan, like, let's get Raghunath. And you're
I've
just
been,
a little bit like, why am I not at the highway side dob with them right now?
No, you know what? It's good for me to go inward.
You got to chill. Yeah, you got to chill.
I'm chilling. I'm working hard. I'm working on that new podcast.
But chilling at the same time.
I don't have a name for it, but today I was absorbed in, and it has to do with what we're talking about, the famous, I put the link on the board, the carolbowman.com website, reincarnation-forum.
Right.
I just tell you, man, you really understand how it's like what we're doing is so important. When you really get this reincarnation stuff, you really start to understand, like, we've been suffering trauma, not from this life, from lifetimes of trauma.
What are
If you
you
go to this
listening
if you go to this children's
you getting
forum where
into?
children, the parents are sharing these like scary stories.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know what I would do. None of my kids, and I went up to each one of my children when they were toddlers. I was like, "Where are you
Do you
from?
know me?
Do you know me? Who are your other parents? Tell me your other parents." They were like, "I don't know what
Like
you're
you thought,
talking
like
about."
there's an opening at this time, and you might be able to penetrate
Well, there
it.
is an opening, but it says that oftentimes kids who come from trauma. And so one parent's writing like, "I'm so glad I found this message board. My child is, a 3-year-old is rolling on the floor, screaming, 'I'm dying in a fire. I'm dying in the fire.'" It's just like freaking out the parents.
Whew.
This is
Okay.
important stuff, man. So
Well, it is
fortunately, the
important.
Bhagavad-gītā teaches we
Yeah,
are not this
yeah.
body, we are not this mind, we are not this trauma. Let's move forward.
Right. So
Where are we
that's
today?
knowledge, and knowledge is our theme today, because this we might be able to wrap up this chapter today, Raghunath. And the whole theme of this chapter is the preservation of knowledge. Like people try to preserve a lot of things in life. They preserve
Will you try to pass them to your kids?
things like you're talking about, like wealth or artifacts or things like
No,
that.
forget that.
What? Oh, what are you talking about?
First, you have to have wealth before you can pass that on.
What are you talking about
like,
preserving?
I want to write my kids a letter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And tell them, here's what I've learned in life.
Oh, knowledge. Okay. Well, there we go. That's
passing down knowledge.
My point it was exactly that, is that the most important thing to preserve is knowledge. The whole thing with Satyavrata and the Matsya avatar, the whole theme of the chapter is the preservation of knowledge. The Vedas were stolen. He gets them, returns them to Brahma. That kind of thing. Or they get, they take all the sages and they preserve them on that boat. So that even through these stories are talking about these cataclysmic times of destruction and cosmic upheavals and so on, that despite that knowledge, wise people with their heads on straight, they emphasize, they focus, they prioritize the preservation of knowledge. What do you laugh at?
I like that. People with their heads on straight. I say that too. You and me are from the same generation. You don't got your head on straight.
Get your head on straight. So yeah, so this idea that sacred knowledge, it needs to be preserved, is being spoken about here. And I had a little nugget today, Raghunath, from please don't criticize him in any way.
Benjamin Franklin.
That's right, because I know where you always go.
You know what?
Just let him be.
A philanderer. No, you know what? Here's the deal. People. He was a philanderer, but here's the point. He was also. Why focus on people's bad qualities?
That's what I'm saying.
I agree. I'm not focused on it. The guy made a lot of contributions to this world. I'm overlooking those shortcomings.
I'm just bringing it up every time his name is mentioned.
I'm hoping that people don't focus on my shortcomings. Okay. I hate when we rewrite history like, oh, he was evil. He was evil. Guess what? If I micro-examined your life, you'd be evil.
Right.
So just
but you didn't even have to mention it, Raghunath.
People.
You didn't even have to mention. You didn't have to mention it even.
Okay. I didn't have to mention it, but I just Okay. Yes.
That's like one of those things where it's like, look, I'm not going to talk about your issues with drugs and alcohol. We're not going to go there today. Okay. It's like, all right. What does Benjamin Franklin have to say? It's simple. It's short. It's quick.
Oh, it's very lovely. He said, where is it, Mara? What's that quote?
Want me to do it?
Yeah, just read it.
You see, you're so focused on his philandering, you totally missed out on what
an investment in knowledge pays the best interest.
There you go.
Little
banking metaphor.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Investment in knowledge pays the best interest.
I always say that too. I always say something similar. I say investing in worry has a very poor ROI, return on investment, right?
Right.
Have you ever invested your time in worry, in material hope? We have all these plans of the material world. It's a poor investment. They don't give us what we want.
One thing that maybe I've learned a little bit, just from us being on the show and talking about these kind of things so much, I've been able to put it in my life. You know what? I really, just this idea of forgiving without apology necessary, Like, in other words,
just forgiving
something's
people
got
anyway?
you, just let,
Well, that's good to know.
This is, because, I don't know how much I've applied it, although I've spoken about it on the show, in somewhat recent times, I've been applying that, and I find, wow, this is like huge. This
I
just
take
makes
no
life so much
offense.
better.
It's one of the
Because,
6 pillars, Baba.
yeah, you got to let it go, right? It's one of the 6
You
pillars.
got to let it go quick.
I'm going to
To the
read that book
longer-
when you come out with that 6-pillar book. I'm going to read
To
that
the
one.
longer, it's going to be done. I'm going to finish that book on this trip.
Really? Oh,
Yeah, I'm thinking like that.
I got to catch
Bubba.
up, man. You're working. You almost
got
got
2
number 2 done.
I know, and you haven't read number 1. And I think you'd
Like,
like
I'm
it.
trying
and
to
I
write
mentioned
my
us.
number 1.
I mentioned you. Anyway, here's my point. What were we just talking about? Forgiveness.
Forgiveness, yeah, without the apology. and
Yeah,
everything.
if you don't forgive completely
Yeah.
and immediately, that's the key with forgiveness. Completely and immediately. It's like a tree, a sapling. It's easy to pull out a sapling when they're growing in the garden, but if
Let
you
it get
let that
roots.
thing stay, it starts to get harder and harder to pull out. You need 2 hands. You got to get a lopper. You got to dig it out. And so to the degree that I keep resentment with me for a decade, 2 decades,
Oh.
that's a problem. Then I need serious therapy.
You don't want to
because
have it for even 1 day, even 10 minutes. Let
you
it
got to
go.
practice. It's a practice. You get better
It's
at it by
practice.
practicing relinquishing the resentment.
Because what
And you got to
happened?
let go of it completely. Like I
Yeah.
can't be like, well, I sort of forgive him. It's got to be 100% I forgive him, or else what happens is it starts to ferment. It starts to ferment. Just that little strand of resentment ferments, and eventually it toxifies the entire consciousness. And then you start to create turbo scenarios, and then you start to think that was the reality when it wasn't reality. Oftentimes my resentment is fabricated in my mind. You ever do that one?
Even that may be, yeah, but even if it's not,
Yes.
right? Because then the turbo scenarios you have are like, you're having a conversation with them. Maybe there's some witnesses. You're establishing that they wronged you. Everybody now accepts it. That person gives a sincere apology and admits that I did. That never happens,
Right.
It practically. So you're going to be sitting there fantasizing about this.
Back to me.
Yeah.
Mara says a great one, because
Yeah.
there's 2 types of offenses. One is when a person didn't make an offense, but you fabricated it and thought it was an offense.
Okay.
So on that one, Mara has a great.
Let's hear that one.
Come here, Mara. Say your
Mara.
statement.
When in doubt, give people the benefit of the doubt.
When in doubt, give people the benefit of the doubt. Isn't that good?
Why don't we take out the people part, because it just makes when in doubt,
give the benefit of the doubt.
Benefit of the doubt. A little smoother, a little tighter.
A little smoother.
I'll
A little
take that.
smoother. And then there's the other situation where people were offensive. They have hurt you, harmed you, betrayed you, robbed from you, broken your heart, etc. And guess what? No one on this path gets a pass from forgiveness.
No one on that. That's a long one, Raghunath.
That's not
No
a
pass
that's not
from
an aphorism.
forgiveness.
We don't
No
get a
pass.
pass. No pass from forgiveness.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do. That's what we practice.
What we
Because
do.
what happens is resentment's a type of atheism. Resentment's actually a type of atheism, because we tend to think that things are happening to us when actually God's putting these things in our life for our emancipation and growth.
Right.
God's actually directly dancing with you, Mr. Kastuba. He's doing a dance with you. And every
Have
time
you
you
been-
resent, you're saying, I don't want to dance, Krishna. I don't want to dance with you. Dance with him. Dance with him. Write that down.
Dance with him. Raghunath, I get the impression you've been working on this subject on your book, like within the past few days, because I'm sensing it's just right
Tools
there.
are sharp, baby.
Yeah.
It's so good to write because it really sharpens the mind.
So anyway, yeah, it's a great thing. But we're talking about knowledge. We're talking about the preservation of knowledge. That's what's worth preserving. That's the key.
Yeah.
That opens up everything else. We might try to preserve, like, I mean, of course, we should preserve the natural forest, things like that. I'm not saying we shouldn't, you know, but but knowledge is the only thing that allows you to value those kind of things, you know. But
Yeah.
especially for us, knowledge means understanding who we are in this world. What is this life all about? What is this world made of? What are we made of? What's our connection to God? Put these three together, you have jnana, knowledge.
I'm so happy I'm a devotee.
Me too. I'm happy you're a
I'm
devotee.
so happy I'm a devotee. Me and
Like-
Kostuba before the show, we were just saying like we were just saying like we love to do what we do. We love to spread the holy name. It's like if we
We
don't
got nothing else. Did I freeze or did Raghunath freeze? I don't know. Okay. Someone please tell me on the board if I've frozen. Raghu froze. Okay, good to know, because otherwise we're standing here doing nothing. All right, so I'm not sure exactly what Raghunath was about to launch into, but maybe I'll go ahead and take this opportunity to launch into our Bhagavatam, and I'll chant the mantras. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual masters have opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto them. Raghu, if you're here, let me know. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. I believe our last verse we read, it was maybe text 48. I don't know if we're meant to start on text 48 or if we read 48 yesterday. I think we start with 48 today. This is the final prayers of the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Satyavrata, this King Satyavrata, finishing up his message, sharing his final message with Lord Vishnu. Beautiful prayers to Lord Vishnu. It's, again, this chapter has a theme of preservation, both sacred knowledge as well as like good leadership. In the beginning, it talked about Matsya, the Matsya avatar, slaying Hayagriva, and in this way restoring the Vedic knowledge at the end of one creation cycle. And then we also heard about how the future Manu, in the form of King Satyavrata, was saved, along with the sages, along with seeds and herbs and other things that they wanted to preserve too. And that Matsya imparted Vedic knowledge. There we go. Welcome
pasta,
back.
Perhaps.
I don't know. I don't know if pasta was included, but probably wheat may have been in there. And but also he imparted the Vedic knowledge at the beginning of the next creation cycle. So it's like this is what Vishnu is interested in preserving, is he's handing down this knowledge, right? So both these events that were included in this chapter, they emphasize this Vishnu's continuous role in ensuring that divine wisdom is intact. You know, that it's kept alive through the different cosmic upheavals like that. But what were you saying, Raghunath? You want to go back to what you're saying?
I can't remember. Sorry, we had a quick blackout. I was on a roll about something, and I was excited.
No, we were talking. You and I were talking about we don't know anything or something like that. Or you and I.
I was just saying we're not good at anything. We love spreading the holy name, and thank God we're doing it, because we're not good at anything in this material world.
But it's our, you know, like we talked to yesterday about a man that does 108, Dandavats around Govardhan Hill. Our body probably couldn't take it. Our mind probably couldn't take it,
My feet couldn't take it. Yeah.
But bhakti is different. Bhakti is just, it doesn't necessarily require austerity, although you do have to kind of sacrifice. You have to sacrifice internally. And by sacrificing externally for like just trying to share bhakti, it's a great way to sacrifice, So that's kind of been our thing, right?
The real sacrifice is, the real sannyas is, the real renunciation is, nothing is mine here. Everything is for you, my Lord. I'm not the enjoyer of the material world. I'm here to serve the enjoyer. I'm here to serve the center, not be the center.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
You can do that from being married with children. You could do that being a renunciate,
Okay, we're good.
What do you think about that?
You
You want to dive into Srimad Bhagavatam?
Yeah, I chanted the mantras. You can read text 48.
Text 48.
Is that correct, Mara?
She had 49, but
Yeah, I think we
Okay,
might have
49.
read this yesterday, but we can.
No,
read
go
it
ahead.
again.
49.
yeah, 49. Neither all the demigods, nor the so-called gurus, nor all the other people, in either independently or together, can offer mercy that equals even 1/10,000th of yours. Therefore, I wish to take shelter of your lotus feet. As a blind man, as a blind man, being unable to see, accepts another blind man as a leader. Isn't that interesting? They're using this analogy that they use in the West. The blind following the blind.
Leading the blind, yeah.
As a blind man, being unable to see, accepts another blind man as the leader. People who do not know the goal of life accept someone as a guru who's a rascal and a fool. Yeah, happens a lot. But we are interested in self-realization. Therefore, we accept you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as our spiritual master, for you are able to see in all directions and are omniscient like the sun. So some people say like that. You'll hear in India as well. They say, I accept the Supreme Lord as my spiritual master. Have you heard that?
Well, certainly the Supreme Lord is one. There's an internal, that Chaitya Guru, right? Vishnu in the heart. That's there. But generally, because we have so many desires that can cloud our hearing of that voice, we can become confused. So then we want to have that internal message confirmed externally by someone who's less clouded than ourselves. Right?
Yeah. Okay. A materialistic so-called guru instructs his materialistic disciples about economic development, about sense gratification, and because of such instructions, the foolish disciples continue in their materialistic existence of ignorance. But your lordship gives knowledge that is eternal, and the intelligent person receiving such knowledge is quickly situated in his original constitutional position. Kaustubha, I got to share this with you because it's driving me crazy. Yeah. Some people think we just like Indian culture and we just want to be Hindus. Wrong. No, that's not the truth whatsoever. Okay. I mean, I do like Indian culture. That is true. And I think it's it's a cool culture. It's a deep culture and it's a rich culture. But a lot of Indian culture, they do what we do. It's like we're running a parallel thing, but they're branching off in different directions. We are not doing pujas or mantras or ritual for stuff of this material world to facilitate our material happiness at all. We're saying like these prayers of Queen Kunti, let the calamities come again and again. We're chanting the Maha Mantra, which really means, my Lord, I'm here to serve you. Bring it on. It's not a prayer for peace. It's not a prayer for Shanti. It's a prayer for pure devotional service. So there are gurus and there are paths to find some peace in a crazy world. There's priests who will do pujas and yagyas for you so that you can counteract some malefic planet in your chart, in your astrological chart. They are seers who understand, oh, you're going to go through a really tough time next fall, and they can give you some mantras to a demigod to appease the demigod and take away some pain that's going to happen to you. That's actually not what we're about. We don't sit around and say prayers to devis and devas for material peace. We chant to Lord Vishnu and we say, bring it on. I trust that you will, right? I trust that you've got my best interest in mind. In the same way, a child, you know, sometimes is a little fearful, but the parent will say, come on, we're going to go in the water. It's going to be okay. I'm going to hold on to you. And so sometimes a child goes into a fearful situation with that deep trust in the parent, like the parent's got me. That is our mantra. You have me, my Lord. You have me. I trust you. And it's different than like 99% of Hinduism out there, even though we sometimes wear the same costumes, have a similar haircut, wear a Brahmin thread. You know, we were reading, where were we reading that? Were we reading in this, where the Brahmins were, they were looking for trouble. I would think we were reading the Chaitanya Leela. That the Brahmins were, you know, worshippers of the materialistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? We were reading about, who was that, Mara?
When we were reading Narottam Das.
Narottam Das Thakur. And the Brahmins were materialistic, and they were trying to like imprison Narottam Das Thakur because they say he was from a Sudra family and he's giving initiation, and that he's completely breaking all the codes, until they actually met Narottam and realized this person is a pure soul. So sometimes just because a person has the outward appearance of, hey, this guy's great at kirtan. Hey, these guys are sort of Hindu. They're worshiping some statue. I get it. No, you don't get it. This is actually something different. Bhakti yoga towards Lord Vishnu is something different than Hindu rituals.
Yeah, it means, it really means becoming entirely selfless so that you can actually experience what love is. You know, it's like that. Right. Prabhupada, you know, he's coming straight, you know, a materialistic so-called guru instructs materialistic disciples about economic development and sense gratification. In the commentary, Prabhupada comes right out of the gate, you know, like so-called gurus instruct their disciples for the sake of material profit. Some gurus advise that one will meditate in such a way that his intelligence will increase in regard to keeping his body fit for sense gratification. Another guru advises that sex is the ultimate goal of life. You know what I see nowadays is a thing?
What do you see?
Is like these gurus, I won't use any names like Osho or anything like that, but they say
Osho or anybody like that.
You know, but they play on people's resentments. You know, like, we're all being told, you know, you've been through trauma, your parents have mistreated you, you've this and that, you've been restricted from enjoying the true potential to enjoy life and have the pleasure that you deserve. Yeah, be free. And anybody that's, you know, trying to tell you anything else is like, you know, just trying to stifle your beauty and your creativity and your artistic creation.
Enjoy your body. Your body's for enjoy. God gave you a body to enjoy.
Yeah. Right. Really? So they kind of play on that. You should be a maverick. You should just do what you want and don't listen to anyone. Everyone's like, what a great guru.
Yeah, you know? You be your own guru. But all right. Just me saying you be your own guru means I'm playing guru.
Yeah, true.
Right.
Yeah, you know, it's like you know how they have those like mazes that are made out of like hedges, you know.
Yes,
and let's
hedge
say,
mazes. I love them.
Okay, well, let's say you're in one. And it's huge, like it's like really
like the like high hedges, high
hedges, and like really complicated maze.
This is like an English thing. The English love these.
Okay, I appreciate that. I know. Thank you for your knowledge on that, Raghunath. It's an English thing.
I'm hedge friendly.
So picture that you're in one that's very vast, very complicated, like gigantic, like very nearly impossible to get out of. But like you don't get fed. Okay.
We have these upstate.
Let me make my point.
Okay.
Then you can branch out in any way you want on it. But imagine like you don't get food until you get out of the maze. So it's like it's a little bit desperate because you may not get out for some days because it's so thick. And on one hand, you have like someone that comes along and says, I have these texts from these people that have gotten out of the maze before. You can follow me if you want, and I'm just going to follow the directions. I don't really know anything myself, but these people knew how to get out of the maze, and I have their writings right here. A lot of people have used these writings and gotten out of the maze. I'm not a big deal, but if you want to follow me, I'm just trying to repeat what they said, and we should be able to follow this and get right out.
Anybody who's right who studies music, go, you go.
And then you're kind of feeling like, well, why should I listen to you? And then you have the so-called guru who's got a big long beard and he's got the turban on and he's talking like with gaze.
Seems like you won't name names, but you will describe.
Well, describe Osho, but they'll say like, don't listen to anyone tell you anything about what to do. You do what you want. You're never going to get out of that maze. That person's not a guru. That person's a cheater. That person is not helping you.
You be the guru.
You be the guru. You decide how to get out of the maze. Yeah.
Really? So everything's inside of you already, Kostuba.
That's right.
Really? Then so I shouldn't read any book. I've never learned anything. Why is there educational institutions? Why study martial arts and have a teacher? Why don't I just go there and fight everybody? Why learn the violin from a teacher? It's just like, it's ridiculous. If you put it towards any other thing.
Yeah.
A person who does a 12-step has a sponsor. It means he's walked this path before him,
Yep. But yeah, whatever it is, whatever you want to do with your life, you'll do better if you find someone who knows how to do it and learn from them, So what to speak of spiritual life, which is the subtlest side. Yeah, imagine being in that maze and saying, it's all inside you. Don't let anybody tell you. You find it inside yourself. Come on.
Really? I'm pretty dumb.
I don't know.
Well, there is, but here's the deal. There is God inside us, but you got to be careful with that one too, because what I think is my gut talking can oftentimes be my anxiety talking. It can be my lust talking. It can be my fear of failure talking. It could be some like haunting thing my dad told me when I was a child. I'll never amount to anything. I'll never do anything good with my life. It could be some type of voice in my head. It's not necessarily the gut. I'm not necessarily tuned into the super soul yet.
Right.
But yeah, we have God in our heart too. People are silly.
No doubt. Okay. All right. More about materialistic gurus. Let's see what else is.
We beat that.
All right. Text 52?
My Lord.
Or is it text 51? Is it 51 or 52?
A materialistic so-called guru instructs his materialistic disciples.
Guru.
Okay, we read that. Guru. My Lord, you are the supreme well-wishing friend of everyone, the dearmost friend, the controller, the super soul, the supreme instructor, and the giver of supreme knowledge and the fulfillment of all desires. But although you are within the heart, the foolish, because of lusty desires in the heart, cannot understand you. So that's the deal. Once you have
there you
go.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't mean lust, meaning like, oh, I love women. It means I want to be the center. I want to be the enjoyer of stuff in this material world. Once I have that and don't want to put God at the center, that pushes me away. It can really be seen when a person really is dialed into addiction. Because when someone's really into addiction, it's like me first, everybody else second. And I will do anything to get my needs met. And that's why, the 12-step people, they go through this whole period of amends, because in the desire to get their needs met, they've walked and stepped on so many people's toes, if not ruined people's lives. So we see that in a more extreme example there, but we're all doing it. We're all addicted to the material world. We're worried about me. I extend that to my children. Maybe, I'm worried about my family. I worry about my community. I extend it a little bit more. So, where are we with this? Bring it back. They cannot understand you if they have these desires as me first. So to the degree that I'm riddled with desires, the more I'm pushing away truth. And it creates a smoke screen of how I can actually be happy. If I have all this material hope in my heart, it's so interesting because it sounds good. I have great hope. Really? Hope to enjoy the material world? Good luck. That's why all the great thinkers say, analyze this, think it through. You're really going to enjoy that? Think it through every step of the way. And that's what we're asked to do as aspiring transcendentalists. You think this is going to make you happy? Think it through.
There's a simple principles being described here that are we can call it lusty desires. It just means attachments. Things that things we think we're going to make us happy, and we need to be happy, and we really want to get them. That those attachments are truth blockers. They prevent us from hearing that real voice inside. They will have us convinced that we're responding to the innerness, the inner wisdom in us. Oh yeah, that's the inner wisdom. No, that's just your desire speaking. Your mind is programmed like a computer, and you're looking at it and you're following it. And it's strong. It's got a very strong pull.
I saw her in the restaurant, and I knew she was my soul.
She was the one.
Like, really? She was the one.
What about the other one?
But we do that with everything. We do that with greed. With so many times people break up with their soulmate. We just manufacture this stuff in the mind due to desire.
All the time.
Pessimism of the material world is a good thing. I'm not a pessimist. I'm a optimist, but I'm a optimist.
Spiritual optimist.
I want to say realist sounds like a pessimist. Oh, I'm a realist. No, I'm a spiritual optimist and a pessimist of matter.
Okay.
O Supreme Lord, for self-realization I surrender unto you, who are worshipped by the demigods as the supreme controller of everything. By your instructions, exposing life's purpose, kindly cut the knot from the core of my heart and let me know the destination of my life.
Cut out that knot. I recognize I got this knot. It's misdirecting me. It's holding me back. Need a cut.
That is the knot. There's a knot, they say. It's a figurative knot that ties us to the material body. That's what it is.
Preventing the real feelings, the real emotions, the real experience from flowing.
Yeah.
Like when you got a kink in the hose.
What's that, sir? What did you say?
Like when you got a kink in the hose. Does that happen at Super Soul Farm sometimes?
Well, not anymore. We've got new hoses. Your analogy is no good here.
Well, I'm just checking. I'm glad to hear it.
Sukadeva Goswami continued, when Satyavrata had thus prayed to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had assumed the form of a fish, the Lord, while moving in the water of inundation, explained to him the absolute truth.
By which? Oh, I'm sorry. Absolute truth, right.
Yeah. The Supreme Personality of Godhead thus explained to King Satyavrata the spiritual science known as Sankhya Yoga, the science by which one distinguishes between matter and spirit. In other words, Bhakti Yoga, along with the instructions contained in the Puranas, the old histories, and the Samhitas. The Lord explained himself in all of these literatures. He's having a conversation with a gigantic fish. Isn't this fascinating?
No, yeah, that's right. And the fish is like providing him, because he's going to take birth in the next millennium as a Manu. And so he's just feeding him all this information so that I need to keep it preserved in one. It reminds me, we were talking about that story about that. When we were in, you were talking about this recently, and then I was, because we went to the samadhis of the Prabhupada's disciples at the Goshala, out near the Goshala in Vrindavan. Yeah. And there was one there for the devotee named Ananta Shanti, right?
Yeah.
And the whole thing was Srila Prabhupada, somehow he got a pass, a visa to go into
the Soviet Union.
Russia, Soviet Union for 3 days with one servant, Shyamasundar Prabhu. And he was just being watched. He couldn't leave his room practically. There's no way to connect with anyone. And then Shyamasundar went out one day to go shopping, and he bumped into one person, and they hit it off, and he brought him, hey, you want to meet my teacher? Yeah. Prabhupada had 3 days to invest the knowledge of bhakti, the knowledge of the Bhagavad-gītā in this person, and then go. And somehow that, by investing that knowledge in one person, it spread. And to this day, there's a lady here. I'm forgetting her name now. Malika
Mandakini.
No. There's someone else. She's from Russia, and she just like teaches Bhagavad-gītā and Bhagavatam online to like 40,000 people or something like that. Like she does these online courses.
I mean, Russia's unbelievable for spiritual life. It was repressed for so long under the Soviet Union, and then boom, it exploded. And I tell you, India is filled with Russians. There's Russians everywhere, and they're great at everything.
They are.
They're great at everything. They're really together. They're really smart. I'm sure there's all different types of Russians, but the ones we know are pretty impressive.
Yeah,
And it takes off like wild. The temples are huge. There's huge communities. It's all walks of life.
yeah, and they're really spreading the knowledge. They preserve that knowledge. So it all stemmed from that one person. So that's what Matsya the fish is right now. Like, let me explain the Puranas. Let me explain Sankhya Yoga to you. Let me explain Bhakti Yoga to you, and then you carry that into the next creation.
You know what's interesting? I just got a message from a devotee that we know, who your guru, he knows someone in China, and your guru initiated one disciple in China. I think only one. I'm not positive.
No. He had many
No,
Chinese
many?
disciples. Yeah.
Okay, really? So this was one of the first ones. His name is Gaudiya. We gotta get him on the show.
Okay.
But anyway, the Hare Krishna movement in China is still sort of illegal. It's like legal, but sort of illegal.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to get me to go there to sort of like, see, this guy's normal. They're like trying to make it normal
are they in
with
for
the
it?
government.
Don't they really?
They're not a bunch of freaky. I know. Out of all the people, they're gonna get me.
Normal?
But we got to get him on the show because he was in prison for a year for practicing bhakti in China. They let him out and they said, okay, it's legal, but you can't preach about it to anybody.
Yeah. Bhakti opened up for a little while. After it opened up in Russia, it opened up in China. But then, this whole democracy movement was just growing and growing, and then they crushed it in Tiananmen Square. They just killed thousands and thousands of people. And,
you know what?
And Bhakti went underground again. It's brutal. Brutal.
It's brutal. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. All right.
Hare Krishna.
Let's finish this chapter, Raghu. We can do it. We're going to finish the canto. The canto right now.
The canto?
Yeah.
We're going to finish. All right. 56. While sitting in the boat, King Satyavrata, accompanied by the great saintly persons, listened to the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in regard to self-realization. A giant talking fish.
He's in the boat. He's got his thing tied to its horn, and he's hearing this discourse.
Did he speak in a human language or a fish language, and they could understand? Or was it just given through the heart? I don't know, and I'm not going to even question it anymore. Okay. These instructions were all from eternal Vedic literature, Brahma, right? Shabda Brahma, eternal spiritual sound. It's hard to believe because we like things to have a beginning, middle, and an end. How old is Vedic teachings? It's eternal. The conversation that we're having right now, and you and me, we're talking about these things, that's been going on forever. Even in previous millenniums. Ages. This is a constant conversation of who am I? Why am I here? What are we? What is God? The Bhagavad-gītā, that conversation, as old as it is, that's an ongoing conversation. It will happen thousands of years from now and has happened thousands of years before it. Thus, the king and the sages had no doubt about the absolute truth.
They're all riding in that boat together.
Yeah. At the end of the last inundation, see, there's inundations that end the universe. At the end of the inundation, during the period of Swayambhuva Manu, which we read about earlier, the Supreme Personality of Godhead killed the demon named Haryagriva and delivered all the Vedic literatures to Lord Brahma when Lord Brahma awakened from his sleep. King Satyavrata was illuminated with all Vedic knowledge by the mercy of Lord Vishnu, and in this period he has now taken birth as Vaivasvata Manu, the son of the sun god. Very interesting. The story concerning the great King Satyavrata and the fish incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, is a great transcendental narration. Anyone who hears it is delivered from the reactions of sinful life. Woo! That's good to know. Yeah. Some people are clicking their heels together right now. One who narrates this description of Matsya incarnation, I guess that's me, and King Satyavrata will certainly have all his ambitions fulfilled.
There you go.
He will undoubtedly return home back to Godhead.
Done.
Okay. Goodbye. Good night, everybody.
My job finished the last verse.
I offer my respect. I don't have to anymore. I'm going back to Godhead. I offer my respectful obeisances.
To do the whole thing.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who pretended to be a gigantic fish who restored the Vedic literature to Lord Brahma when Lord Brahma awakened from sleep, and who explained the essence of Vedic literature to King Satyavrata and the great saintly persons.
Thus ends the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Unbelievable.
Right?
Oh, Kastuba, I just want you to tell you before we have the takeaways.
Yes.
My birthday present from Miss Mara, my wooden sandals, my padooks,
Oh, yeah.
my fish flops are doing quite well. Mara, tell them.
You know, hold it, Raghunath. Who was I speaking to? To me and someone that knows you well. I'm forgetting who it was. We just said, how long you think those, how many steps you think he's going to rack up in those fish shoes? I don't think there's going to be a lot. But no, you're doing well on
When
it.
in doubt, give people
Walk on
the
the
doubt.
fish.
When in doubt, give people the benefit of the doubt, Kastuba. That's your
Okay,
takeaway.
so how you been doing on?
They want to see the fish flops. Becoming Om wants to see the fish up.
You're wearing them indoors.
I wear them indoors until I get used to them.
Only.
Okay.
There's the fish flop.
You take them back a little bit because we lost the focus on them. Yeah, nice.
They're beautiful, aren't they?
How do you feel when you're walking in them? Like as a
I feel
not
taller,
your feet, but how
straighter.
do you feel?
It's good for posture.
Okay. How does he get around, Mayor? Like, is it a little awkward?
It's a little more slow.
I'm slower.
Maybe that's good
Yeah.
for you. Maybe that's
It's a
good.
slower gait.
It is.
Maybe that's good.
It's part of the new Raghunath 2.0.
All right. 2.0?
2.0.
4.0. I've been reinventing myself for years now.
4.0. Okay. 10.0.
Mara's been a good influence. I mean,
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Mayor.
Shall we get to some takeaways?
Let's
yes,
do it.
please.
All right. Death is everywhere.
Good morning, everybody. Oh,
We're being goaded to invest in the soul's eternal dharma.
goaded.
Mm-hmm.
Goda. Nitai Goda.
The most important thing to preserve is knowledge.
That's right.
And seeds.
And seeds.
Seed saving.
Worry has a poor return on investment.
Very poor.
Like that one,
Raghunath.
Kastuba? You like that one? Raghunath.
Yeah.
2025.
Forgive, let it go quickly and completely.
There we go.
Raghunath.
No pass from forgiveness.
Raghunath. It's not a competition, but those were all mine. I was on a roll today.
You were on a roll. Resentment is refusing to dance with Krishna.
Oh,
Dance
okay.
with me.
My Lord, I'm here to serve you. Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Bring it
Hare
on.
Krishna. It's scary. It's scary.
Raghunath. Sure you want to claim that one?
Kastuba said that.
Bring it on.
Whatever you're trying to do, you'll do it better if you find a teacher.
Yeah. Kastuba said that.
Good teacher. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it the super soul talking or my fear, trauma, and anxiety talking?
Yes.
Attachments, maybe.
To the degree I'm riddled with desires, it repels divinity.
Like that.
Okay.
Repels divinity. We stiff arm. We stiff
arming God.
We stiff arm little Krishna.
Oh.
Sounds horrible,
It does.
but we do it.
Our attachments are truth blockers.
Yeah. Kastuba. Truth
Thank you.
blockers.
Analyze
Let's
your
do it
hope
with
to enjoy
2021.
Analyze your hope to enjoy the material world and think it through.
Think it through. That's the T-shirt. Wisdom Sages. Think it through.
And
Instead of
Like, do you
just
really
do
want to
it.
listen?
What's your and? What's your and?
last one.
What?
The last one right there.
Oh, wait a second. What about your one? That was a big one
You
too.
like that one? I didn't want to
What's
do
that?
my own because you were mentioning whose was whose. When in
What did you
doubt,
say?
give the benefit of the doubt.
When
Oh,
in
that was a
doubt,
good
give
one,
the benefit
Mary.
of the doubt. That is a very
Thank
good
you.
one. I'm putting that in the 6 Pillars book.
And
And
cut the knot.
cut the knot.
Cut it.
It's a great day for a great day. Thanks everybody for joining us. When in doubt, Kastuba, dance with Krishna. Don't stiff arm Krishna. Embrace Krishna. Get in that flow. Thanks everybody for joining us. Those who joined late, I didn't say good morning to, like Gopal Nandini, good morning. Lovely Anna Sierra from Colombia. And
Can
Saraswati.
we take out the, can people put on the cameras now, or it's like we're gonna freak out if that happens?
Yeah.
But let them in. Let's see those faces. There they are. There is live from Uruguay, Harry Bull. There's Sarah Ditto, Harry Bull. There's Martine, Harry Bull. In the old days, we used to always chant and dance. Now we just become like a little old. Only
Harry's
Martine
into it.
dances. There's
Harry's got it going.
KCD and Gopal Nandini, Harry Bull. And there's Michelle. Welcome to the show, Michelle. Oh, that's Michelle. Jean Rene. There he is. And Timothy Taka. Tim O'Reilly's here. There's Film Up with Bhakti. There is Henry representing the shelter hoodie. Harry Bull. And there's David, becoming Ohm in Mexico. I think you might be our first Mexican listener. I don't know, maybe. At least on Zoom, I think. Jean Rene, our first Puerto Rican.
Yeah, Snowy is up there in Maine.
Holy snow, Martine. And Jessica in Uruguay. Harry Bull. Hey, Jess.